and welcome to the PTZ, the Political Twilight Zone. This is part 2 of our podcast for June, as we discuss an excellent article about the monuments being torn down. And don't miss this, Sharon Stone's tips for surviving riots. So, we now join the PTZ in progress. Okay, there's an excellent article, oh goodness, and I forgot to pull up who it was by. It was written over a year ago, and I'll do that.
Let me look. I've got it too.
Okay.
I've got it up too. His name is Alexander Adams.
Yes. And what's the website again? Because I don't have that with me either.
It's Areo, A-R-E-O, magazine.com.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And this was written over a year ago. This was written, I think, in early 2019. But he goes in, it's a long piece. It's about, I hope I pronounced this right, Iconoclasm?
Iconoclasm.
And he talks about the different monuments. And I'll read a couple of excerpts from this. He says that the political activist reserves to himself the right to retrospectively edit our history for his satisfaction by removing monuments, those fixtures of civic life embedded in the memories of generations. The activist often knows almost nothing about the object of his hatred, merely a garbled caricature of a person caught up in the conditions of their age, but the activist acts as if he were not also caught up in the conditions of his own age. Boy, doesn't that hit the nail on the head about what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Most of the time, activists are ordinary people who have been enabled to act in extreme ways. They were placed in situations that activated the reserves of savagery that every person has, that biological program that makes a parent murderously protective of a child or a mild-mannered individual willing to trample fallen people to escape a fire. These ordinary people are conditioned with a sustained narrative of victimhood and of standing up for compassion and humanity. They are bound into a group and then set upon another group classed as dangerous, criminal, or hateful, and tasked with enacting justice. In today's mobs that assault monuments, we see people educated in the victim narrative by politicians, schools, and mass media directed to correct history and prevent emotional injury to current and future generations through urgent and necessary action against effigies. Boy, This guy really nails it. And
that is just right on the money. I mean, it really, really is.
Yeah.
Did you scroll further and read that part where it says the early stages of revolution? Did you read that?
Yes. I don't know if I have that one.
The early stages of revolution are always linked to iconoclasm. Mm-hmm. The renaming of cities and streets, the destruction of monuments, the torching of palaces, and the burning of books. The inequities of the past cannot be changed, but revenge can be wreaked upon its symbols.
Wow.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They're going after what's out there, and they're tearing that down, thinking that that's going to tear down the past, but it's not. But it says it's a preliminary stage to more extreme acts.
Right.
It precedes criminalization, confiscation, imprisonment, exile, and genocide.
Yeah.
So, this guy was right on the money with this stuff. I think this was brilliant.
Yeah, and he also said, he kind of sums up, he says, once historical symbols have been erased, new targets are needed. Who better than the legatees of that erased culture? Inheritors of unearned privilege, there's that, like white privilege.
Yep.
And property are parasites of oppressive systems. If these people are both the founders and beneficiaries of an oppressive system, why should they not be deprived of those rights, property, and ultimately their lives? If this seems...
There you go.
If this seems...
Exactly what's happening. It's exactly what's happening. Why they feel entitled to take our stuff, to take our lives, to take our freedom. That's what they feel. All the wrong that's been done, we're entitled to take it from you. We're entitled to destroy your life.
Yep. That's really scary. And he ends by saying the activists of today heedlessly erase history they haven't yet learned to read. They act as the hammer that extremists use to deface the cathedrals and monuments. This hammer could soon be turned from smashing statues to killing people. It has happened before.
That's right. That's exactly right. And he was, he also mentioned something in the beginning that I found really interesting, was the fact that tolerance, when you have tolerance, you accept those monuments and those statues because you're being tolerant of what you understand is history. So the
Right.
intolerance of these people, they have no tolerance for anything. That's why they're destroying it. But he said that's how people, a civilized society, learns tolerance, is to accept what has happened in the past and how you learn from that.
Right.
But these people don't. We have a whole different mindset.
Well, and once those statues and monuments are gone, racism and slavery, it'll be gone. We've never did it. It never happened. I mean, I'm being facetious, but, that's essentially what you're doing. And they're also, like that guy said, they're trying to put the mindset of 60 or 70 years ago into today. Yes,
Right,
slavery was wrong, but that was the prevailing wisdom of the time. It wasn't just the Confederacy that believed in slavery. If you think that only occurred in the South, you're mistaken. There were the people that were getting rich off slavery lived in the Hamptons and Long Islands up in New York, and they were bringing these slaves over and selling them to the South and making money off of them. And I am getting darn tired of the media continuing to blame the South for it. Yes, we were complicit in it, but so was the North. It was not
That's right.
one or the other.
Yep, that's very true. And think about servants like my ancestry. I've got Irish in my ancestry, and when you look back at the history of people who escaped Europe and came here to to the New World, they were slaves. Many of them indentured servants.
Yeah.
They were owned by somebody or made to do things, and they were white. You never hear about that.
Well, in history, a lot of times repeats and flips because back in biblical times, it was the black race was subjecting the white race. I mean, look what they did. The Egyptians and what they did to the Jewish people before the Exodus. So everything has repeated in history, and I'm not rationalizing. I'm just saying that like the guy said, these people don't even understand the history that they're supposedly trying to destroy, and
Right. That's right.
what it means.
That's exactly right. What did they deface? They defaced the Black Memorial of World War II soldiers or something. They don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's just mass destruction. Whatever they can do to destroy and disrupt and do, they don't even know what it is.
This is not just the United States. I just read this is global now, which goes back to the whole thing about this is if it's being orchestrated at some level. But I saw where they defaced the statue of Winston Churchill, and this is the guy that ultimately refused to surrender in World War II. And the fact that there is still a Britain today is the fact that Winston Churchill was such a strong leader that he refused to let Britain fall under the rule of Nazism and totalitarianism. And these people go up there and they deface the statue. They wouldn't even have the freedoms they had today if they knew what they were doing. If Hitler won.
No, they don't. And what kind of a voice is it going to take, John, for someone to listen to, for these people to listen to? There has to be somebody emerging from somewhere that's going to level this out. Donald Trump is doing the best he can, but I just don't know. With the media, 99% on the side of the left, how do you fight back with that? Unless we're just an army. Maybe we're the army that has to have the voice, maybe.
I think the only way the media will come around is if several prominent people in the media are actually become victims of some of this, which is not likely to happen because they, like you said before, they live in their gated communities, they're protected. But if it did, I know there are a couple people that things have happened to, like Laura Logan. I think her eyes were opened.
Oh, yeah.
And if y'all don't know the story about that, I'll just briefly. When she was in Egypt during the Arab Spring, she was gang raped, and that opened her eyes. She was a diehard liberal up until that point. She may still be liberal, but she's not a radical. And then, so it does happen occasionally. Some of these people have their eyes open, but it's very rare.
It does, John. So let me give you will open my eyes. There's a talk show host out here called Leo Terrell. Have you heard of Leo Terrell?
Oh, yes. He used to be on Sean Hannity a lot.
Black man.
Yeah.
I used to turn his radio show on just for entertainment because he was so crazy.
Yeah.
On the Democrat side and social justice and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of times I would just laugh and shake my head and go, oh my gosh, this guy is a lunatic. Well, have you seen him lately on Sean Hannity's show?
No.
He is completely on our side, saying this is a disaster. They are in total agreement in absolute everything. And he gets on the show, and he takes on these other people, these radical leftists, and he goes, I know what I'm talking about because I've been there, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, oh my gosh, if we had more voices like that, because his voice was very, very strong in the community. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's going to just take more people, like you said, to wake up. Like, Cheryl Atkinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she was that reporter who I guess the Obama administration spied on her and
oh, yes,
her computer and all that stuff, and she wrote a big expose on that and how she had been tracked and all of her information was being monitored. Oh, yeah, her eyes are open, too. So maybe it will take some of this stuff affecting these people on, themselves in order to see it for what it really is.
And I think some of these people may see it, but they're afraid to speak out. I mean, I really believe that Nancy Pelosi is a radical liberal, but I don't believe Chuck Schumer is. I believe he has to say these things because I know a couple of years ago when Trump was first elected, he made the comment that he thought he could work with Trump on some certain issues like infrastructure. And then about a week...
I remember that.
And then about 2 days later, he came out and said he couldn't work with him on anything. So somebody took him to the woodshed. And he was also... there was also some issue he wasn't radical enough on, so the people were protesting outside his home. So, and
I guarantee you, Pelosi must be getting a lot of that pushback.
Yeah.
I bet you she is.
Because she did, I know for a fact that based on some of the stuff she says, that she never wanted to go the impeachment route. She knew what a big loser it was, but she was forced into it. And I think they will eventually be forced into the defund the police campaign too. I don't think they want to go that route, but I don't think they're going to have any choice in the end.
I agree with you. I think you're right. They're probably trying to figure out how to get out of that now because that's splitting their party. This whole thing has split their party in half between the really socialist far leftists like Ilhan Omar or whatever her name is, and Ocasio-Cortez, and all those voices. That is the big split on our, if your party's split in half like that, how is Biden going to unite that? I mean, Biden took a stance, too, about he didn't want to defund the police, but then he kind of, I don't know, he was kind of double speaking. Did you hear that? Where it was kind of like only if they do the right thing or it's the right thing that we think they should do to fund them.
That's not like typical Biden. Probably something like the police. They need to do the thing. The police. That's the thing the police need to do. The thing, and then it'll be all right.
It's the thing, Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I can't even imagine what Donald Trump is going to go after. So look at all the things he can go after Biden on. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
The way he is around women, the way he did with Ukraine and his son getting all that money, and then the deals he's made with China. I mean, think of all the ammo on this guy. I mean, if we ever have our attention. See, right now they're making us look at this little shiny thing over here on the left,
yeah.
the riots and coronavirus and all that, so nobody will talk about Biden.
That's right.
I can't wait. I mean, that's why I'm waiting for those rallies to come back that Donald Trump does.
Well, you know, the one benefit of the coronavirus, and a lot of women in the country were happy that Joe Biden had to wear a mask. Woo! He wasn't going up and sniffing people's hair anymore with that mask on. So.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Oh, and I listen, I will do a pay-per-view for a debate. I'll pay to see that one.
Yeah. There's just still part of me that says there's no possible way the Democrats are actually going to be this stupid to have Biden on the top of the ticket. But, I mean, the further you go into the year, it's June, what can they do at this point?
Well, they can't now. But what do you think, John? Who do you think he might pick as a running mate?
I don't know. I was going to say, if I was Biden, I wouldn't get too close to anybody that knows the Clintons.
Yeah, me either. Oops.
I think it has to be a woman, and I think it has to be a black or Hispanic. And so my guess is it's just a wild guess, but I think it'll be Kamala Harris.
She kind of shot herself in the foot there yesterday.
Oh, what'd she say?
She came out to defund the police.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, she's going to be...
I was surprised, too, because it came up on our local news, and she's our California person. And she was saying that, she was going to go do that.
Wow. Well, if she's planning on being the Veep candidate, she's going to have to get on the same page as the top guy.
Yeah, really.
Well, and now we're come to our one of my favorite segments of the show. I know you're always waiting on this. Is the Hollywood Ramblings. So Sharon Stone posted a bizarre video to Instagram in which she recommended that people use their bathroom as a safe room if they find themselves besieged by rioters.
Use their bathroom?
Yes.
Okay.
So she wore a yellow turban as she addressed her social media followers, saying that bathrooms provide the ideal hiding place because they have the fewest windows out of all rooms in the home. Quote, so we're in the middle of a riot, and if you're anywhere where you feel unsafe in your home, this is what I want you to do. We're going to make a safe room for you. Probably the safest bet that you have might be your bathroom because you have maybe the least windows or you're the most tucked in there. Isn't that nice? While there are people going on rioting, you're tucked into your bathroom. Stone recommended putting pillows and blankets in the tub in case you need to sleep there. She also said...
Wait, is she getting ready for riots or a hurricane?
Or a tornado. She also said She also said to fill a cooler with non-perishable food and drink. If you're in a rioting area, try to board up the window in the room. Stay safe. Don't be overreactive now. This will come and go like all things do. I'm not making this up.
Really. Nobody ever accused her of being, really smart, so take it with a grain of salt.
When I read that, I'm thinking, that would have been a really funny piece for Les Lessman on WKRP in Cincinnati to read.
Yes, exactly. That would have been perfect. I'm telling you, these people just never cease to amaze me. They really don't. It just baffles me how they even get through the day.
Yeah. That reminds me of that episode where Les comes on and he goes, Cincinnati is being attacked by a huge lizard.
Monster lizard ravages East Coast. Officials say this lizard, the worst since '78, has devastated transportation, disrupted communications, and left many hundreds homeless.
Monster lizard?
The wire service never lies.
Les, the B is out on the printer. It's Monster Blizzard.
Right. Blizzard. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's all I have for the celebrity, but that's probably enough. I guess you could say that staying in your bathroom and locking yourself in would be Sharon Stone's basic instinct during a riot.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. You summed it up perfectly.
Oh my goodness, how do I go back to being serious now? The last thing I wanted to cover, and this is a very serious issue though, that kind of went unnoticed because of everything else that's been going on. But last week, the Supreme Court, thanks to, again, John Roberts, upheld Gavin Newsom's restrictions on the churches in California being able to meet during the coronavirus. Yeah, the Supreme Court on Friday night ruled in favor of coronavirus restrictions on religious services in California in a 5-4 decision. Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the 4 liberal justices to decide with the California's legal argument that they had a right to shut down or limit religious services. Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh voted against. In his dissent, Kavanaugh argued that, and I love this, comparable secular businesses such as supermarkets, stores, hair salons, and marijuana dispensaries were not subject to the same restrictions as churches. And as you mentioned last time, they had to open up the Botox stores again.
Right, and the abortion clinics.
Yes. So, thank you once again, George W. Bush, for putting this man on the Supreme Court without, vetting him enough to know that he might actually do this. We have Obamacare, thanks to Judge Roberts. If there ever was a reason to vote for President Trump, to me, this is, you've got, you need the law and order, you need the economy, but you also need Supreme Court justices, and if whoever is president next for the next 4 years is probably going to have a couple of vacancies on there, and I'm not talking just liberal vacancy. I mean, Clarence Thomas is no spring chicken.
No, he's not.
So I was talking to my pastor about this Sunday, and I said, I'm pretty certain Trump's going to win, but I'm worried about 2025. And he said, I am too, but he said if Trump wins and we're able to put a couple more conservative judges and swing at 5-4 or 6-3, then at least for 30 or 40 years, even if there's a Democrat in the White House, we may be somewhat safe. At least the court will be in good hands. I'm like, that's a good thought. So
yeah. Well, here's what we got to do. We got to get out there and we got to vote. I got to read you this real quick before we leave it.
Oh, yes.
I got a text message on my phone. I live some of the time in Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I am registered to vote in California. So when I went to get my driver's license renewed in Georgia, they automatically registered me to vote for the Democrat Party.
Goodness.
Now, I didn't know that until I received a couple of things in the mail saying, you're registered. And I went, no, I can't be. I am registered in California, and I don't want to be registered in Georgia. So I get this text yesterday. Urgent election update. Morgan, if you are still registered at, and it was my address in Georgia, your polling location has extended their hours and will be open until 9 p.m. today. You can vote at Peachtree Christian Church. If you've not already done so, can we count on you to vote for Democrats up and down the ballot before 9 p.m.? How about that?
Wow. Oh.
So I said, okay, we got to get on the stick, you guys. We really do, because we got to get people out there, and we got to get voting. I mean, we got to get people.
Did you by chance hear that lady that I think was it Mark Herman that was on for Rush today, and he played the clip. He played it twice of this lady that she's no staunch conservative by any means, but boy, she was upset about all the riotings that destroyed her neighborhood, and she said, we got to get out here and register people to vote so we can stop this crap. And I'm not, she didn't use the word crap. She used
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I heard part of that this morning.
So that's very important. But I almost forgot to bring this up because we didn't get to this last time. So we can talk a little bit about vote by mail that the Democrats are trying to push.
Vote by mail,
Yeah.
fraudulent voting. Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. But I'm telling you, they've got a plan, and they are going to nag people until they get them to the polls to vote completely. They're just brainwashing you. You know, you better get out there. You better get out there. You better get out there. And we cannot fall asleep at the wheel. We just can't.
Yeah.
We need to hang on to the Senate, and we got to get the House back too. That's the only way we're going to get rid of all this mess.
Well, I don't know if they have time this election cycle to get all the vote by mail to the point where they can cheat and win elections. But it's as you and I both know, liberals are relentless. It's something they will keep pushing and pushing. I mean, it took them 75 years to get government-run health care. I mean, they were talking about this back in FDR's day. So even if it takes to the 22nd century.
Look how long the underground Marxist movement has been going on.
Yeah.
Look how many years it's been going on to try to get all this chaos done, and they kept getting pushed back, and they, not get what they wanted, but they don't give up. They're relentless. They just rename themselves. They're not Black Panthers anymore. They're Black Lives Matter,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Or they change
that's it.
When global warming doesn't work, they switch to climate change, so that can encompass everything.
Of course.
So, I mean, if an ice age approached, they would blame that on the exact same thing. Well, they've done it before in the mid '70s. If you've ever go out, if you're curious, go out on the internet and look up I think it's U.S. News and World Report Ice Age 1975 article, and you'll pull it up and you'll see that they warned that we were heading to an ice age, but the same thing, they were promoting the same thing. We need to stop driving our cars. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to, so it doesn't matter. Like you said before, it's all about control. They'll take whatever side of the issue that they need. Right. If Trump came out against the border wall and open borders, they would be for a border wall just to go against him.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to use reverse psychology on all these people. Oh,
yeah. So it's just crazy. But I do want to end with this because, we talk a lot about this and it is scary, but don't let your heart be troubled because despite what's going on in the world, I firmly believe that God is still in control of everything and that we still need to fight the good fight. And if for some reason, God forbid, they win, then, it's not over. God is not surprised by anything that happens. I'm sure a lot of people were surprised that Trump won in 2016, but he wasn't. So I really do believe that Donald Trump, I know people are probably going to pull their hair out when they hear me say this. I do think that he is ordained by God right now in this. How do you explain the fact that the man is still standing? There's people that want to take him out.
That's right.
So what we need to do, we need to fight, but we also need to pray a lot too about our country. And don't lose hope, no matter what happens.
No. And something else, John? If anybody comes up to you and asks you to get down on your knees for your white privilege, say, I only get down on my knees for one, and that's God.
Amen. Yeah.
Right?
Yep, there's only
and
one.
That's what I would say, and if they wanted to shoot me down, then shoot me down.
Yeah. There's only one worthy of that type of worship.
That's right. That's right. And it's very sad to me to see these people bowing down to that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, have we come to the end of another one?
I think so, but this has been fun. You've been listening to the PTZ, the Political Twilight Zone, and if you're listening, you're already on the YouTube page for the Political Twilight Zone, but give us some support there and subscribe to the channel, and we will see everybody probably early next month.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Who knows what's going to be happening by then?
Thank you for listening, everyone. I'm John Baldwin.
I'm Morgan Brittany.
And this is the Political Twilight Zone.